Okay, let's do number 4 right now. The first thing I want to do is I want to find the X-Intercept. Now, for your X-Intercept, you want to plug 0 into the Y value. And so when you do that, you get something that looks like this. And then your job is just to get the X alone. In other words, isolate the X. Now, because we have a squared, you're going to have to get everything on the same side and then factor. If you don't have a squared, but you have like a to the third power or to the fourth power, you're going to do the same thing. Okay? The only time you don't have to get everything to one side and factor it is if you have the highest degree of your X just as a 1. Okay, so we get everything on one side. This is what it looks like. That is definitely not factorable. If it's not factorable, what do you got to use? Quadratic formula. So I plug everything into my quadratic formula, and I get I. Ooh, an imaginary number. Oh, that's hideous. Okay, so you have your quadratic formula right here. We plug it in. We get a negative inside of our square root. You know what that means? No X-intercept. All right, now what about our Y-intercept? To find our Y-intercept, we plug 0 into the X. When I plug 0 into the X, this is what it looks like. And then I get the Y alone. I get Y equals 3. So my Y-intercept is 0, 3. Simple enough, right? Right. Okay, then we have this other weird question that I asked you guys. Find the value of X where Y equals 3. So you're trying to find this value to give us 3. So this is what it looks like. When you plug it in, you plug 3 into the Y. And then you get everything to one side. Oh, check that out. Get everything to one side. Look, we get this simple factoring thing going on here. So, see, we had an X squared. So I had to get everything to one side. Now I factor out an X. I get X minus 3. And you get two answers. You get X equals 0 for the first factor, and then you get X equals 3 for the next factor. All right, that means we have 2 points. We have 0, 3, and we have 3, 3. Those 2 points give me those 2 points. Or, I mean, this Y value gives me these 2 points. Okay, so what was the other thing we had to do? Oh, yeah, domain. A domain for this guy, it's a parabola. I don't know if you guys noticed, it's a quadratic. We could just change it around to make it look like a quadratic. The domain is from negative infinity to positive infinity, and our range we can find after we graph it. So I have my Y-intercept right here. I graphed my Y-intercept. We have 0, 3. That's this guy. And then we have another point. Oh, how come I didn't put my point on there? Okay, I didn't put my other point on there. So in order to graph this, you guys know how to graph a quadratic? No. All right. I'm going to make it look like a quadratic function really fast, simply by solving for Y. So I'm getting the Y alone. Okay, so I just moved everything to this side, and now I have a negative here. Let's divide everything by negative. And so now every sign changes. Now I have X squared minus 3X plus 3. How do we graph this dude? Now there's 2 ways to do this. One way is to complete the square. The other way is just to use negative b over 2a to find your vertex. I think the first thing I do is negative b over 2a. Yep. Okay, so negative b, there's your b. So it's going to be a positive 3 up top over 2a. That's going to equal 3 over 2. So that's your axis of symmetry. That's the x value for your vertex. So I put my axis of symmetry right here. So if you want to find the y value for your vertex, now you know your vertex is going to be on the axis of symmetry. To find the y value, you're going to take this x value, you're going to plug it back in. So what is 3 over 2 squared? 9 over 4. And then I have negative 3 times 3 over 2, which would be 9 over 2. And then you have a plus 3. Boo. Look at all these fractions. All these fractions stink. Let's make this have a common denominator of 4. That means we have 9 minus 18. And so we have, what is that? Negative 9 over 4 plus 3. And we got to make that have common denominators. Oh, wait.
4.
No, yeah, wait. You're right. I changed this into a mixed number right here. So we have negative 1/4, and we're adding a 3. So that's going to be 3 over 4. So we're able to put our vertex right here. So check that out. Yay! We have our graph and everything. Now we can do our range. But what if I wanted to instead complete the square on this? This is what you do. You have your plus blank, and then we minus the blank. So whatever you add, you must also subtract. And so what do I have to add to this to complete the square? What is 3 divided by 2 squared? 9 over 4. And so that means I have to take away 9 over 4. But I didn't put that in there yet. I factored that. I get x minus 3 over 2 squared plus 3 minus 9 over 4, which then gives us 3 over 4. Hey, you see that? That was the same as up here. You guys remember that? Nobody? Am I going way too fast? Here's your H, here's your K. That's your vertex. So what just happened? Let me recap really quick. I used negative b over 2a to find the h, or you can complete the square to find the h. You can do whichever way you want. This is the way your graph looks. So now we can find our range. Our lowest range number is going to be 3 over 4. So I'm going to write 3 over 4. And it goes to infinity because the graph points up. Don't forget the bracket on the 3 over 4. Okay, while there are other ways to do this, these are the ways that I chose and I know how to do. So I know how to do your way too, but this is the best way I know how to teach it.